Hey friends, my name is Waylon Lewis, and I have somewhat humorously, but hopefully accurately, entitled this little discussion. And if you leave me any comments or questions, I will reply. I have entitled it Dear Eco-Minded Liberals Who Drive Every Day, because it's easy to blame them being, big pickup drivers or whatever it is. But there's a lot of stuff we can do. So this is actually a positive discussion. So if you feel like it, let's start with a bow of respect. This is a tradition all over the world, just bow of respect. And we are okay to agree to disagree once in a while. So there's an article on the cover of the New York Times, the failing New York Times, as dear President Donald Trump likes to call it, today, about how much emissions have increased, car emissions, auto emissions, in the last, say, 30 years. So when I was in high school in 1990, old man Lewis, emissions in 1990 were here. Now, overall, they're up here. I'm someone, I don't own a car, so this is easy for me to be holier than thou, but I don't own a car because I bike everywhere. I live in a pretty convenient community for doing that. But that community is convenient because we, as a whole, have decided that biking, walking, all that, public transportation, we invest a lot in our buses, is important to us. And not coincidentally, this community here has been named happiest town or city in the US many, many times by many different organizations. So happiness, this isn't about pride, who cares? This is about, do we want to be happy? And of course, we all want to be happy, right? Everyone? So happiness is at direct odds, direct opposition with commutes. They show that commuting is awful for stress, awful for relationships, awful for this and that. And on the other hand, a lot of us, we're fine. It's UPS. Oh, actually, can you check? Because I might have to sign for it. Thank you. A lot of us have to commute, right? So again, it is what it is. None of this, is there a package there though? Because if not, he's taking it away. None of this is about guilt tripping, because that's not productive. Guilt isn't fun. Guilt isn't actually productive, more importantly. A lot of the time, we just decide to feel guilty about things on a low-level, ongoing basis forever instead of doing anything. And this year, there was a big thread in media and in Reddit and stuff about how environmentalism is stupid, it's irrelevant. Anything we do, it's meaningless. I hope we all know that everything we do is a little bit meaningful. So my main ask here in response to this New York Times articles that shows that not only are we accelerating climate change by driving all the time, by driving bigger pickups, bigger SUVs. One of the comments on this New York Times article said, I live in a liberal area and everyone loves to love nature, and at the same time everyone's driving, and they list a bunch of big SUV brands. So it's actually more fun to get out of the car when you can. If you can't, you can't. So when you're in the car, offset. When you're flying, offset. Flying and traveling, being in SUVs, whatever, is awesome. You need to do it. Being in a big pickup, it's great. Everyone wants their huge F-250 or whatever. And some of these trucks are just so big. The little itty bitty human being in them is dwarfed. So do we need them? If we're working a farm, hell yeah, awesome. But whatever we're doing, we can offset. And I have a list of organizations that are trustworthy in terms of offsetting on my personal Facebook wall, facebook.com/Waylon Lewis. It is a public thread, so you guys can all go there. You don't need to be my friend. And offsetting to me is magic. If you can find a trustworthy organization, you can drive your Wrangler pickup cool thing. You can fly 80 times a month. You're still going to be hurting the earth. It doesn't make the reality of it going away, but you'll be investing a little bit of your money into offsetting that. So it's not like you shouldn't feel responsible for anything, but at least you're investing in hopefully planting more trees, doing something that can help. And remember, planting trees doesn't do much good versus keeping an existing tree. Whenever we cut down a mature tree, that really hurts and really helps climate change. Planting a little itty bitty tree is the equivalent of one little branch on a huge tree, right? Remember, trees are magic. They clean air. We all need to breathe air. In Boulder, Colorado, environmental loving city here, our air quality is so bad for most of the year that it's not considered safe to exercise outside. Same in New York. They say in New York City, going for a daily jog in Central Park is worse for your health than not going for a daily jog because the air is so bad. There's also a recent study that came out that shows violence, aggression, crimes goes up whenever air quality is down. Can you imagine? It's the same as having lead paint or lead in your water. It makes violence go up. So literally we can have a Walking Dead kind of world where everyone's running around like zombies trying to kill each other, or we can have some nice air and reverse climate change. And Greta Thunberg, who will be here in Denver in a day or two, tomorrow, the next generation of children can actually have a decent Earth that hasn't been totally harmed. And there is so much more that's happening. Climate change is affecting the entire web of life, and it's affecting it in terms of death, right? So they're saying many of the state birds, this is also in the New York Times right now, are disappearing from those states because of climate change. So anything, I love how fascinated we are with aliens, and yet we have right here on the planet, we have tigers, rhinos, we have these magical weird little bugs that look like leaves. Like, we have limitless magical sentient beings here on the planet, and we're killing them right now. So let's invest in this wonderful world. And I just want to end with, so many of my friends in Boulder are wonderful people who do claim to love nature, and yet we're driving every day. We're in Boulder, Colorado. We have bike lanes everywhere. Not enough, but we need more protected bike lanes. Protected bike lanes make it safe for everybody, families, children, not just cyclist type people like myself. But, I have friends who drive every day to go hike, friends who drive to the recreation center. We're literally driving to go exercise. We don't need to do that. The stuff that's coming out of your tailpipe, it's lethal. It's lethal for our planet. It's lethal for us. So I know we know all that stuff. I don't want to be a bummer here, but loving the planet is a daily duty that can actually be joyful and result in a beautiful, joyful world. So it's that simple. So loving the natural world here. I work from home and drive only 4 days a week. So you do what you can and you offset the rest. Do the best you can and offset the rest. And that's it. Everyone, I encourage you, hopefully on Facebook where I can't see any comments or anything, but go read that article on the cover of the New York Times and get inspired. There's 2 ways to go here. Be depressed and unempowered, or get active and get inspired. Obviously, the most powerful thing we can do is have a government, a country that is continuing to reduce emissions like they're trying to do in California, like the Obama administration did. And again, this isn't a liberal conservative thing. All of us are kind of culpable. We're all affected here. Particularly our children are going to be affected and are already affected. So the number one thing you can do, whether it's a conservative or liberal, is vote the environment. Because the environment, as Deepak Chopra said when I interviewed him, is not out there. It's our environment. It's us. It's what we are dependent on. So let's go get them. Vote, drive less, public transport more, bike more, offset. Whatever you have to do that you can't not do, maybe flying to go see the fam on Thanksgiving, offset. And again, list of great offset companies on facebook.com/Waylon Lewis. Thank you as always to our sponsor, Clean Canteen. They're actually eco-minded. Do we have a question?
We have a question or
Okay.
a comment.
Cool.
From B on Facebook. Block all you want. If big businesses don't join in, we're still in trouble.
For sure. And that was exactly be the thread that went around this year. Like, it doesn't matter if you do eco stuff because these 60 companies are ruining our planet. But guess what? Companies are part of capitalism, right? And half of capitalism is demand. Half of capitalism, most of the companies on that list are petroleum companies. Guess who's buying and using that petroleum? It's us.
We have a blog or no, a podcast and a video called The Bravest Thing You Can Do Each Day.
The bravest thing you can do each day. Can we put that
Yeah,
in
I'll
the
put that
comments?
in the-
So yeah, it was a pretty big hit. If you check out the bravest thing you can do each day. Kovacs, I am from Europe and super agree with you. Yeah, Europe in a lot of ways has been a positive example, and we have to resist the hater nationalist crowd in Europe just as we have to in the US. And again, that's not even a partisan opinion. My dad's Republican, my mom's liberal, but the nationalists, that's a different thing. I live in England and agree 100% this needs to happen everywhere. And I grew up in socialism. I am spending my life in the car. Yeah. So get out of that car if you can. And if you can't, just asking around, carpooling, whatever you can do, and offset if you can. Again, go check out that list. Is there anything else?
Just Dustin says he's voting green in 11 days.
Yeah, in Canada, it sounds like. Yeah, my mom is voting green as well, or NDP or whatever they are. New Democratic Party. Can't remember which one she's voting for. I think it's green. Anyway, thank you so much. We have a huge crowd here. I'm happy to answer anything, but I'm out. Thank you so much. Mwah. Let's go get him. We got to fix this. We have no choice.